on the test track, so I'm like the next best thing. And I work at AT&T, and I want to thank Jenny for inviting me here today. I met her when I was speaking about Foundry as a verb, which I'll talk to you guys a little bit about later, but I'm a designer at the Innovation Center, and I'm excited to share with you guys about innovation at a different level. I know you've had people from SAP and startups, so it's a very different aspect, and I think AT&T is doing a really neat thing. So I'm excited to be here and share that with you guys. And hopefully what you guys take away is innovation is kind of a fuzzy buzzword. It's kind of getting boring almost. And there's lots and lots of people starting up innovation centers in the Bay Area. And I want you guys to take away some of the learnings we've had from doing innovation that hopefully you can take back to your organizations and make a bigger impact based on the failures and the successes we've had. So just a quick introduction. So I'm a designer at the AT&T Foundry. What that means is my job is to go out and listen to customers and come back and help AT&T develop new solutions that'll make their lives better. Previously, I was a mechanical engineer. I worked in aerospace, I worked in automotive, and I did a lot of finite element analysis in CAD. So I decided that wasn't really what I was excited about. I went to Stanford. I moved here from the East Coast for grad school, and I went to the D School, I went through the design program, and I graduated a master's in design. And I was lucky enough to get hired directly out of grad school into AT&T in the new Innovation Center, and I was actually hire number 2 for the Foundry. So I've been there since day 1. I've helped craft the story, the culture, the types of projects we do, and I have a lot of really good insights just from seeing someone, a great big company, do something new and take a really big step. And I was really excited to be part of that. So what is the Foundry? So I keep saying this thing. The Foundry was started as an idea from our CTO in 2009 to have these brand new innovation centers. And what we were going to do was we were going to be fast. Of all the things AT&T is not, we are not fast. We were going to be fast. We were going to be collaborative. We were going to work with small companies new. We were just going to do things differently. And right now, this is actually what our space looks like. It's wide open space. It's colorful. There's no offices. There's no gray cube walls. If you guys have ever heard of Dilbert, that actually was founded at AT&T. The person who wrote that was sitting in San Ramon in the East Bay. So we're not like that anymore. And this is actually, you know, my boss sits right next to me, and we sit side by side, we collaborate, and that's a whole new realm of being for AT&T, and it allows us to work really differently. And it's really fun, and we hire a really great group of people, so it's multidisciplinary. I'm a designer, we have engineers and software developers, we have marketing people, and we get put onto project teams from anything from the connected car, connected healthcare devices. I've worked on text messaging, monetizing the LTE network, super technical, all the way up to some fuzzier things like call center support. So give us problems, we've got people to fix them. And that's kind of our motto. So why is innovation so important? You guys are all here trying to get this, okay, we need to be innovative, what does that mean? So these are your traditional AT&T competitors, right? It's Verizon, it's Sprint, it's T-Mobile. You know, that's actually not our biggest competitors anymore. They're more of collaborators. We're working with them on things for NFC, ISIS, payments via phone. So they're starting to become part of our ecosystem, and these are our new competitors. It's Netflix, it's Google, it's Facebook. You know, they're stealing our communication things. They're stealing our work. And so AT&T, when it started the Innovation Center, wasn't to compete with Verizon. People might have thought that it wasn't, it was to compete with Google. And they put it here in the Bay Area so that we would have access to the people and the resources that they have access to, and to start doing things differently. So what I really want to point to is that the Foundry is focused on innovation, not invention. So this is a quick story from AT&T's history. So in tradition, AT&T was an invention company. We have AT&T Labs, lots of legacy, we hire lots of PhD people, and they do really cool, really smart things. And they invent tons of things. We invented video communication in the 1960s. But when you design a technology, that doesn't mean anything, right? If nobody uses it, it doesn't matter. When Skype came along, they didn't develop video communication. They developed a tool to let you talk to your family members that didn't live near you. And then they developed technology to help them solve that problem. So the big thing that the Foundry does that I think is really new is we build technology that fills real people's needs. So we don't do technology and try and make you use it. We go, I got a need, now let's figure out how to solve it. And the truth is, I would assume most of the technology that we have isn't that innovative. It's reusing things that have already been built, things that aren't being utilized the way they should be, and making them adapt to people and experiences instead of forcing people to adapt the technology. And I'm going to tell you guys our secret. So this is my favorite part, and this is why I work at the AT&T Foundry, is because the secret to designing great products isn't technology, it's actually listening. So how the Foundry works is we go out and we spend time with our customers. As an AT&T employee, I've gone out and spent time with the Chief of Police of San Francisco. How do you use your BlackBerry? How do you use your smartphone? How do you talk to your team? How do you find the mayor on Monday Night Football blackout night, right? What happens? How do we help you? I've spent time with healthcare companies, so small medical device companies. They have a 7-year roadmap to production to pass FDA approval. How does AT&T help you? What do you need? What are you missing? You know, we don't have healthcare technology, but we could build anything you need. So we're looking for needs, looking for wants. And that's my favorite part of the job. That's the best part about the Foundry is we get to take these things, we build prototypes, we take them back out to customers, we say, how does this work for you? So a quick story I'll tell you is, it'll kind of show you the difference between the way AT&T used to work and the way we're trying to work now. So a couple of AT&T VPs come in and they go, we want to compete with Skype, we need video. Like, we want a really cool app, it's going to be awesome, we want to do video. And I'm like, little weary, you know, I'm like, cool, sounds interesting, we're not a job shop. Like, we're an innovation group, not sure. I'm like, let me go and talk to your customers. We'll go out and figure out what they want. And they go, great, go find us how customers want video. Okay, sure. So I got a whole range of people. I talked to immigrants who had family back in other countries. I talked to teenagers, obviously, big phone users. We spend time with busy moms, you know, managing kids. And we talked to, you know, not so tech savvy people with, you know, older cell phones that are just using them for communication and basic things. And how many of you guys have kids? A couple of you? Have you ever told them that thing where it's like, oh my God, stop using technology, you know, you're on your phone too much? Yeah, you've definitely said this, right? Everybody hears it. You hear it all of the time. And what I found, which I think is important for everybody to get, which is something that AT&T doesn't think about, is the people in this day and age who are 15, 16 years old, who are connected to their phones, when they go to college, when they turn 18, what's not going to happen is they're not going to lose their connections with their friends and family. These kids are going away to college and they're Skyping with their cousins. They're talking and checking in with their best friend from high school. So you're talking about social networks earlier, right? Their networks are going to be exponentially larger than ours ever could have been, because when I went to college and my best friend went off to Pennsylvania and I went to upstate New York, that was it. I didn't see her for 9 months. There was no Facebook, there was no video calling, none of that. So I came back to AT&T and I said, this is it. Like, what we're living in is not telling people to stop using their phones. We're living in a space where your phone is providing you more love. And I don't think AT&T thinks that way. So what we ended up doing was, and it was based on this one story. So JJ is the kid on the left, all the way on the right here. He's a freshman at UCLA. He was home for Thanksgiving. We had an opportunity to talk to him. He goes out and he's got this girl he likes, right? He's interested in her. He wants to show her that he really likes her. So he decides to plan a birthday party, and a surprise birthday party. And it's the day before her birthday. And he's like, I got to do this. So he organizes 30 people to come over, cake, food, everything he could possibly need, location, rides, completely via voice and text, right? He couldn't use email. Not everybody in college checks their email every day. Facebook, it's number one, it was too public. Like, the girl would have found out about it, wouldn't have been a surprise anymore. And, you know, not everybody uses Facebook every day. It's not universal. He could have used Eva, he could have used any other tool he wanted. He chose text and voice because it's the only way he could guarantee that all of her friends would be there. And I took that story back to AT&T. And I said, this is what your communications tool should do. And right now, he sent over 1,000 messages trying to organize that event for her. And I was like, wasn't that hard? Wasn't that like the hardest thing you've ever had to do? And he was like, you should have seen her face. It was worth every minute, right? And we went back, and now we're actually developing text into a platform. So what do you do in text that, we're not going to change text, it's text, right? But AT&T legacy would have let someone like WhatsApp or another application lose it, but it doesn't have the value. Not everybody has it. So we went back to AT&T and they were like, we want a new app, and we said it's not about apps. You know, we're a telephone company, but we're also a provider of services and communication tools, and we're working on that in the Foundry. So, that listening, that story is what we hire designers and people in the Foundry to do, and then I get to work with technology people. Like, our developers are awesome. You should see the apps that they're building with this platform, right? Like, you can be in a text message and hashtag it pink, and my text message on the other side just comes out pink. Like, it seems small and simple, but it's a way to add culture, emotion, feelings into your text messaging windows. So I'm really excited about this transformation inside the organization. Another thing we're working on recently, just a short story, is around connected car. So we went to extreme users of the connected car, so we went to Tesla owners, and we talked to them about the connected experience in the car. And I know you guys are going to talk to sustainability teams later today, and there's a subtlety in listening to people. So people think that the problem with EV cars is, they're not like your gas cars. You can't fill up everywhere. It has this range anxiety. But so what Richard here told me was, my Tesla's more like a bike. And I'm like, more like a bike? He's like, yeah, than a gasoline car. And just like, what do you mean? How it's not like a bike at all? Like, it's more powerful than most automobiles. And he goes, it's like a bike in the way where at some point I'm going to get tired and have to stop. So when I plan my trips, I just plan them differently. The way he thought about electric vehicles and the way he talked about it was like riding a bike, right? Like, oh, I can bike 20 minutes, I won't be that sweaty, I can bike there. Oh, I've got to go 40 miles, I better take my car. So that mindset, and so when you talk to people, we shouldn't be comparing EV cars and gasoline cars. We should be talking about transportation and movement for people versus talking to them about gas and electric. So these are the subtleties that you can kind of pull out as you guys go back into your jobs and you're listening to customers and you're developing technologies and thinking about people using them. How do you find those subtle changes that can transform your business and transform your organization, transform your startup, transform the enterprise that are 240,000 people, 125 billion. So I want to just bring back and point to you guys about innovation centers. These things of AT&T puts a bunch of really smart people in a group. We're like a tumor from the organization, right? You guys have seen like the globe. It sometimes looks like the Death Star, but we're like this thing that hangs on the side, and I think that's wrong. What we're good for is showing how a big company can still do really great things. And there's only 80 of us, right, across three locations. We're very small, we're pretty rapid, we're cool, but we can't change the company. We can't bring you multi-million-dollar products without the $125 billion company behind us. So when you're looking at innovation centers and thinking about being innovative, I like to remind people that the purpose of it is to evangelize and inspire other people to work differently with you and teach them along the way. And I love the fact, this is like something that AT&T is terrible at, we hate failing. The company, we hide failure, we are embarrassed of it. We'll spend $10 million on a product nobody wants just because we're too afraid to tell anybody or to admit that we shouldn't be working on it. The Foundry got things wrong when we started. The very first year, we did this, we had this great idea to do fast pitches where we bring in all these really cool startups, come into the Foundry and pitch us on products that they wanted to collaborate with us on. I'll be honest, it was terrible. It was a total waste of time. VPs were just like, why are we even watching this? The projects that came out were just not interesting. And we just admitted it. We're like, this isn't working. And we just stopped. And now we see maybe 70, 80 companies a year, and they're targeted. We say, we want to see the top 6 people in big data. We want to see a whole bunch of companies in cloud this week. So we actually have changed our model, and we could have kept going and like, no, we're committed to fast pitches, keep doing fast pitches, more people coming in the door, but why waste everybody's time? So this is new, and when you go out, you probably will fail. The first process around trying to be different, trying to be innovative and do things differently, it's really hard to get it right the first time because there's not really quite a formula yet. Maybe it's coming. And the other piece that I think is important is to look inward. So a lot of the time we're trying to innovate out in the world. We're trying to create new technologies. And what I loved about the examples that Mike gave was that they were transforming existing things. Like Wikipedia didn't blow you away with its technology, right? It's a wiki. But the way people interacted with it, the way it transformed it. Something like Uber, transforming taxis. Like, it's still a taxi. Like, there's nothing new about having somebody drive you someplace, but the way you interact with it, the way it makes you feel, the emotion that you had when you had to like pay that taxi driver $10 and ask him for $2 back. Like, you know that weird when you feel kind of guilty feeling customer money because you didn't tip them enough? Gone. Disappeared. And suddenly I like taking taxis now because I don't have to have that weird interaction anymore. So, you know, when you're looking inward, you can look for ways to change the way you work and transform the organization. So what I really do at the Foundry now, I've been there for 3 years, is I spend my time evangelizing innovation, and that's how I met Jenny, was that I was talking to hundreds of AT&T employees across the company about how we work and how they can work different out in the company, because it doesn't matter if 80 people are innovative inside of 240,000. It only matters if the whole company changes. So I've committed to the Foundry that the Foundry fails. The Foundry doesn't, I don't care if it comes out with a whole bunch of really cool products and technology that you guys all use. We've totally failed if the company doesn't become innovative. And that is the consensus for me. So if you guys are going to do innovation, you know, you're changing people. You're changing mindsets, you're changing thought patterns, you're changing, like, I hate people at the company who go, we've always done it this way. And I go, great, we're not doing it that way anymore. I had it, and that happens in every organization, whether you're a 6-person startup or you're working in a university, you're working at a big company, it's the same. You always want to look for, how do we make this better? How do we change our own process? How do we actually let our customers do what they want to do and help them, versus trying to shove things down people's throats and, you know, do things the way we've always done it, because, you know, technology's there, and that's not the hurdle anymore. The hurdle is the people at the other end of the technology. So, kind of my quick speech. I'm happy to take some questions if you guys have them. Hopefully that was kind of a fun, interesting story just from a big company, but I'm trying to do something new. Yeah.
Got a question. We went with Jenny to D School on Monday.
Yeah.
So what did you learn at D School what you didn't know before? The science school at Stanford, yeah?
Yeah. The number one thing that I took away from my time at Stanford was, yeah, that innovation didn't have to be brand new. That we could look at existing problems in the world like transportation, healthcare, and you could actually transform them with what we have today. You know, people are always like, you look at, I think education's a really good example. There's lots of things that are broken, but, you know, like, it's an app to teach you how to do mathematics. Like, that's not hard. It's more of, it's an ecosystem problem and a systems problem, and most of it is totally tackleable if you have the right people and you have the right collaboration. So.
Follow up on that, because we are very strongly into this contributions for sustainable development.
Yep.
So many projects are being done at universities that end in the waste bin. Could they be related to a challenge in the sustainability domain to contribute? Would that motivate people more at the universities?
I think, I mean, so the number one reason that kids drop out of high school today is they think it's irrelevant to themselves. They think that what they're learning in school is a waste. And it is, right? They're sitting around reading textbooks, and we're like running around with tablets and, you know, taking photos of things and putting them on the web, and they're like reading a book, right? Like, hands down, the best way to get people active is to put them on things that actually make a difference in the real world, and expect a lot from people. If you expect a lot from people, they'll step up and give you a lot back. Thanks. So I would love to see more projects in colleges, more things challenging people to tackle big problems. A lot of people play small, and the bigger problems that you give them, the more likely they are to really come out and surprise you.